Hallo und herzlich willkommen, ich bin euer Mr. Wenne 1974. Wir sind bei Folge 13 von Gabriel Knight, 20th Anniversary Edition, Sins of our Fathers. Wir sind in der Tulane University und wir werden jetzt mit dem Vogel hier quaken. Hoffe ich jedenfalls. Mit Professor Hartridge.
Dr. Hartridge is sharp-eyed and even sharper-tongued. When he condescends to look at Gabriel at all, it is with a dismissive glare.
Ach, er hat uns gleich ins Herz geschlossen.
Are you a student?
No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you've already interrupted and slept through my lecture, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
Ach, kann man alles mal. Was bist du denn, Harry Potter? Warte mal, ich will aber mal eben kurz noch was gucken, ob es hier was Neues gibt.
Gabriel isn't in the mood to give a lecture. A projection screen dominates the front of the hall.
Das sehe ich.
The door to Hartridge's office is locked. Gabriel's in one of the lecture halls at Tulane University.
Ausgangsschild?
A lighted sign says exit.
Ja, das habe ich gesehen.
The podium, Hartridge's throne.
So, jetzt können wir mit dem quaken.
Up for a few more questions?
Gee, I'd love to.
Fangen wir vorne an.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
Das habe ich erwartet.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treat voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
Das ist sicherlich richtig.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
Ich überlege gerade mal, was ist noch für ein Dialekt? Das ist britisch, ne? Glaube ich. Das ist so wieder was für euch da draußen. Ihr wisst das doch immer.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
The Catholic Church has always dominated in New Orleans, and its imagery in turn has dominated New Orleans voodoo.
Okay.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
If there's more you wish to know, perhaps you should read my books.
Ja, das ich hier gerade habe für 9,99 €, ne? Ja, sicher.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd,
Wir haben ein
the
Datum.
feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel.
Mhm.
Huh.
Das dachte ich gerade auch.
Do you know what Capri Sanko means?
Cabri Sancourt? Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
Also wir brauchen ein Menschenopfer. Ist doch schön.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting, from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Das haben wir auch erwartet.
Do you know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African voodoo religions.
Do you know anything about veves?
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
Idiot.
Tell me about Damballa.
Damballa is one of the major Rada Loa, also known as Damballa Wado. He is an ancient Dahomean rain god, often represented as a large boa constrictor. Damballa is the most powerful and most violent of the Rada Loa. The Rada-Loa are typically benevolent, as opposed, say, to the Patro-Loa. He is still worshipped heavily in Haiti. And when voodoo first started in New Orleans, the early conclaves were reportedly based on the worship of the great zombie, the great serpent Dambala.
So. Ist auch schön, dass er nach den Sachen fragt, die wir später wissen müssen. Das finde ich auch schon geil. Ihr könnt euch jetzt Hinweise machen, die beiden wären wichtig.
Tell me more about Dambala.
I have extensive courses in the Loa running next semester. Perhaps you should take one of those, Mr. Knight.
Ich glaube, so lange haben wir nicht Zeit.
Tell me about Ogun Badagri.
Ogun Badagri is one of the Patro-Loa. The Patro-Loa are much more violent than the Rada-Loa. Some people believe the Patro-Loa originated in Haiti, but I have found some evidence that the Patro-Loa were African as well, though worshipped only by a small voodoo tribe, and a very bloody one.
Ja, ist doch schön. Deswegen ja auch gleich Menschenopfer.
Tell me more about Ogun Badagri.
He is a chief nasty, Mr. Knight. He is the spirit of war and destruction.
Ja. Netter Typ halt.
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight. I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse. In religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
Das ist ja ganz gründlich.
No.
Fine.
Also, Agnostiker, ne, wer Baphomets Fluch sich angucken will, der kriegt da ein bisschen mehr Infos. Deswegen gute Cross-Promotion. Hier nochmal größer den Herrn Rimtour. Ja. So Ideen von George Stobart. Naja, ne? Wer hat da was von wem, ne?
I'd really like to know more about you.
There have been several articles written about me, Mr. Knight, as well as blurbs on my book jackets. If you want a biography, read.
Machen wir doch gerne.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
You must travel a lot.
Yes, to Africa mainly.
I'm very interested in voodoo myself right now.
How nice for you.
So, dann erzählen wir mal was über Menschenopfer. Jetzt wird's wieder spannend, ne?
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible, if that's what the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Ezuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Ezuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Houngan tremble before possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papa Nebo. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that Loa will simply take it for themselves.
Schön. Ja, dann geht's doch gleich weiter mit Menschenopfer. Ist doch ein schönes Thema, ne? Da ist doch super.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
I wouldn't dwell on it. Most voodoo sects probably haven't seen a human sacrifice for several generations.
Okay, also das ist uns nichts mehr Neues. Kann der Vogel uns denn mal... Nein, das wollte ich nicht. Moment. Mr. Knight. Das wollte ich nicht. Das wollte ich nicht. Das können wir ihm doch bestimmt noch zeigen. Das macht doch Sinn. Der Fachmann.
Can you tell me anything about this?
Wow. Interesting.
Freut mich.
Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back.
Okay. Scheint interessant zu
Here you
sein.
go. You know, this is a fascinating veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself.
Have you heard of the Voodoo-Murders?
No, you're kidding. Really? then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this Veve is authentic?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm undercover. You can contact me at St. George's Bookshop in the corner.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this, if you don't mind.
Geil. Schön, also sind die Morde schon mal echt. Kann er da auch noch was zu sagen?
Can you tell me anything about this?
No. I've never seen those symbols. Therefore, they're probably meaningless.
Really?
Ja, natürlich.
Are you sure?
I'm never wrong, Mr. Knight. Therefore, sure is not in my vocabulary.
Ja, also das ist schon mal Quatsch. Natürlich bedeuten die was. Mehr haben wir nicht. So. Dann können
I'll
wir
see you later.
Goodbye.
hier raus. Dann können wir auch nicht bei Madame nochmal vorbeigucken. Ja, was war das denn da noch? Das fängt schon was an. Obwohl, das ist das gleiche, was ich da auch mache. So. So, ist klar. Die ist ja nicht da, ne?
Sign under.
Genau. So, dann muss er sich erstmal wieder umkleiden. Machen wir das nämlich mal eben fertig, bevor wir dann in der nächsten Folge dann zu Mosley gehen.
All right, but this is private.
So, dann haben wir die letzten Informationen. Das bringen wir uns weiter.
Yes? Who is it?
Ja gut, das kennen wir ja schon.
It's Father McLaughlin back again, don't you know?
Yes, Father. Come on in.
So, jetzt können wir auch die letzten Punkte
Please be
anschreiben.
seated, Father.
Jetzt wissen wir ja die
Thank
Antworten.
you.
Now, what can I do for you?
Do you mind if I ask you a few more questions, madam?
If you wish, Father.
Aber auch ein bisschen mehr schon.
That Caprice encore thing.
Now, do not continue to tease me, Father. You know what it means as well as I.
It means goat without horns.
Father, you surprised me. You do know what it means. You know what they mean by goat without horns, don't you? A human being. That's right. Slit your throat, cut out your heart. Pure evil murder.
Menschenopfer. Jetzt können wir doch loslegen.
Tell me more about Marie Laveau.
She was only a front for the real evildoers, Father. And that's the truth about Marie Laveau.
Do you know anything about Veves?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Damballa?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Das geht ja jetzt schnell.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
No, Father. I don't know anything about that.
Do you know anything about human sacrifice here in New Orleans?
Well, my great-grandmother could tell stories. She saw it. People say that sort of thing wasn't done in New Orleans. But the real voodoo queens did it. Oh, yes.
Who are the real voodoo queens?
Well, my great-grandmother told me that Laveau was just a front, a flamboyant decoy. She distracted authorities from the real voodoo queen of New Orleans. It's been the same one for almost 200 years. She's head of a secret voodoo enfant. That's what they call their temples, you know. It's so secret, most of the voodoo people in the city don't even know about it. The real voodoo queen controlled Laveau, gave her a little bit of power, and used her like a puppet.
Das war zu erwarten.
Tell me more about this secret voodoo handful.
Well, I've never seen it. I wouldn't go near it if you bade me. But it's here in New Orleans, I guarantee it. I hear their drums at night, oh yes. That's why I'm so ill, I tell you, those drums. But we shouldn't talk about it. They'll hear us. It's the devil's work that happens there, I can tell you. I'll show you something secret. You mustn't tell anyone, Father.
I swear on my collar.
Here it is, mon père. A true object of evil if ever there was one.
It radiates something, all right.
It belonged to my great-grandmother. She told my mother that it was a token to gain entrance to the real voodoo ceremonies.
You don't say.
To tell you the truth, I've always felt nervous about having it in the house. You know, evil influence and all.
I can see how you would, yes.
And yet, I could never part with it. It's been in the family for generations. Would you bless it for me, Father? I feel strange asking such a thing of you, but surely you understand.
Dann habe ich es auf jeden Fall in der
Does this
Hand.
bracelet have a snake? Even though its vibes aren't great, let it do nobody harm when they wear it on their arm. Voodoo spirits, go away. Don't come back another day. And now let us pray.
Okay, dann muss ich ja wahrscheinlich was mit machen.
It's a bracelet in the shape of a snake.
So. Was haben wir denn da? Das ist gerade gar nichts, das ist gar nichts. Ja, jetzt können wir mal gucken. Ist das kompatibel?
There's no point in using that on the bracelet.
Okay, gut, ist ja keine echte Schlange, danke. Hat der Venom wieder doof gedacht, ne, ist klar. Können wir einen Tonabdruck machen?
Gabriel
Yes.
has a thought about the clay.
Bless, oh bless this circlet of silver.
Ist doch Gold.
Take the curse, oh take it, Wilbur.
Ist doch geil.
A lovely blessing, mon père.
Yes, I think it made a lasting impression. Here you go.
I feel so much better now.
Super. Das hat sich doch gelohnt. Das können wir uns gar nicht angucken. Na super.
Well, madam, I must be going.
Of course, Father. I know how busy you must be tending your flock.
Ja, das
Well,
kennen wir
madam,
schon.
I must be...
Das kennen wir. So. Jetzt will ich mal kurz was gucken. Da geht's nicht weiter. Der Friedhof hat mir nicht gebracht, der übrigens noch Friedhofen heißt. Jackson Square können wir wieder gucken, obwohl Jackson Square ist ja jetzt abgearbeitet, ne? Tag 3 dürfte nichts mehr passieren. Mal gucken. Wie kann denn...
Hey, Grace, here I am.
Oh boy, party time.
So, warte mal. Hast du denn irgendwas Neues?
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Gut. Aber gut, irgendwas beauftragen können wir nicht, aber gehen wir die Punkte mal eben kurz durch und dann können wir die Folge auch beenden.
Does the name Ogun Badagri mean anything to you?
No. Makes my skin crawl though.
Have you ever heard of Dabei?
No, sorry.
Do you know anything about veves?
Not a clue. Sorry.
Ritual patterns used in voodoo.
Fascinating. I can't help you out though.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo houndfall?
In New Orleans?
I think so.
No, I don't, but it sounds dangerous. You're not gonna try to find this voodoo group yourself, are you?
Would I do that?
Ja.
Tell me about...
What do you want to know?
No.
So. Okay. Dann würde ich sagen, setzen wir hier einen Cut. Dann sehen wir uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Ich bin euer Mr. Venom 1974 und wenn ihr Spaß hattet, dann bitte abonnieren, kommentieren, bewerten. Bleibt dran. Extra für euch. Ich schnipp für euch. Wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge. Bis dann. Tschüss.